All right, so welcome to another Asia Chats and Chill. Let's take a quick look at our current price action. I was watching this, we had a nice little BPR building up in here and took a short off of this, but ended up with a break even with this swing back. So this 8 p.m. candle was open low into a high close, broken out. I can drag this across now. That we can see that the BPR then gets flipped into a bullish support. We'll just mark out our current deviations so we can watch this as well. And we'll get into our current chart setup, and then I'll go into the high time frame review afterwards since we're getting some movement already. Asia is awake. How was everyone's New York session? Had a nice nice Q4 reversal up here, and then retested in the PM. We aren't talking about New York. It's a bit of a painful day. Like I sat through all of this. I've been waiting all day all through Asia and London to get that high for this move down, and it just wasn't playing ball. Yeah, this was our deviation cryptic from up here. It was an SBS into the PM session for continuation down to 3. All right, let's get this chart set up. We're flipping this 1 hour SIBI here as well, possibly with this 1 hour. Be interesting to see how this closes. So we want our PDH and PDL. Let's pop them on. Just get rid of our high time frame candles. Do we have anyone new in the stream today? Check a message in the chat if you are. Say hello. Welcome. Pam, if I say that correctly. Nice to have you in here. Welcome, Tony and Falcon. So we start our daily chart off with our PDH, PDL, and then we're doing a OTE fib for optimal trade entry fib from the PDH to PDL. And then we want to get our fixed range volume profile down here. And we're dragging that from PDH to PDL. We're then going to grab our fixed range volume profile POC here, our point of control. And we're looking at PD arrays around our OTE level here. And we've got that POX lining up there nicely as well. We're going to grab our previous session high and lows. So we've got a New York PM high up here. This can become a draw for Asia. NYPM high. NYPM lows here. And then we're going to grab our current zone. So we have got one here. Do we get SMT with anything at the low? Let's just have a quick look at that. Yes, and YM a lot higher. SMT here with YM. Just pop that on as well. And so we're actually going to use, we'll keep this one on, but we're also going to use a standard deviation of this swing with the open as well, with that SMT. .5 up here. 4 is exactly NYPM high. And then we've got this, our deviation from NYAM, which made the high. And we can see that came down to almost SD4 there. All right, so we've got two zones down here now. This is our current Asia Q2. And we've got this New York AM Q4. We're going to drag that across. And our main deviation from the low with SMT and our current Asia deviation here for Q2. We're going to put our 4-hour levels on. So we've already got 1800, 2200. So at this rate, it's possible open, low, high, close for the 4-hour. 2 o'clock. 6, 10, 2 p.m. and 1800. So we swept PDL there on open. Broken structure. And shot up. SD 1.5 from that first one, we're just about to hit. All right, if we just change this to the 1 hour, are we here? And we're doing our arrays. We've got this order block here from the 1 hour. So these two candles up into the PM session. This is our bearish OB. We might just grab this whole zone here, which also aligns with our OTE 0.5. So this whole, these two up closed candles are unmitigated. Price hasn't come back up to release them. Orders from up here yet. And onto the 15-minute. This was our last candle there as well, which is at our SD 4.5 of Asia. So that's pretty interesting. We've got a 15-minute SIBI here as well. And pop that across. So lots of confluence up here for a short later on. Man, this is a big move for Asia. 150, 150 points. Retesting extreme and trapping shorts, yeah. So we've got our chart set up. Be interested in shorts up here around our OTE and our fixed range volume profile POC. Don't really want to see NYPM high swept. I'd rather see a reversal up here. I think if this gets swept, it's more likely just to continue back to PDH. And it would flip this order block here. Yeah, hard to get a long in from this. So normally we want that swing up to 1, or even just missing 1.5 there and then come back. And we want that retracement, so we would want that first move from here to here. And then we get our OTE, and then we're looking for PD raise within the zone. So we'd have this BISI here, and we'd be looking for longs there. So which should be to 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, and 4.5. But this is some abnormal price action going on. No retracement. Let's jump back to the 1 hour. Be making a BPR in here as well. And it's already coming up to that 1 hour order block. So much for a charts and chill. Price going crazy. This was our 15 minute CB here. So I'm not even getting any reaccumulation at the SD levels. This is just pushing up. Yeah. So next 4 hour is going to be pretty interesting. SD 2.5 from the 4 hour low manipulations just here. CE of that of the current 15 minute CB. If anyone got long here from this 2020 candle from 820. Pretty much done for the day. Yeah, how good would that be, getting a protostatic? Because there's no there's no retracement, so you're trailing drawdowns. There's no issue. Get rid of that OT. SD 3.5 and 2.5 of this first swing. Can't really do much here. I like to have some structure to work with. See how it respects this civvy here as well. But if we come into the next 4 hour, it doesn't just completely decline. And then we get an open high up to the SD 4.5 into our zone. We've got another one up here. Then I'll be looking for shorts over here. And be targeting Asia low. Up to our, so we've got our 6.2 level here for our OTE. All right, we'll leave this to hopefully start making some structure to work with. Nice work, Tony. Off the 15-minute, you got that. So as soon as it's come past here, you've just market ordered. Oh no, you got one down here. All right, we'll let that play out. Let's have a look at our daily review. That's our most exciting beginning of a stream that we've had for a while. Seeing price action go so many points during Asia to 219, 220. All right. So yesterday we were looking for, after such a large move up, we're looking for that accumulation through Asia. So I wasn't interested really in any trades through Asia coming up. And we can see we're just building liquidity along here with the lows. Down into Q2 of London. So I was watching that high of London. So we had a quick Asia high sweep here. So Q2 Asia high sweep, little BPR in there as well. 2 civvies. It entered short here. And was looking for price to come back towards YPM high from this. So this is the original zone I had for London. Drawn up with the standard deviations on. With looking for TPs, SD 1.5, 2.5, and 4.5. Once price swept Asia low here, that's when a move stops to break even and taken out with this retracement here. We had, at the same time as this move, YM was also moving down a lot stronger. But I just had to be cautious because we're trending up. We had the Asia low sweep and it's bounced straight back up right at 3 o'clock. So we're looking for a 3 o'clock open low, high close really then. And then we can see that zone then being flipped here. So the correct manipulation for London was then coming down into Q3, and this move that swept Asia low. This was our London Q3 manipulation. And if we zoom into that a little bit, so we have our zone. We've got a BISI in here as well. So we've broken out, change in state delivery, displacement, comes back into the zone, and then pushes up from there. Coming up to end up getting SD 2.5 into New York AM. So we would have had 2 trades from the BISI. We do get an OTE from this swing as well. So from the low to the high. Drag that across. And we look for PD arrays within the zone around the OTE area. So off of this BISI here would be an ideal. Targeting SD 1.5. Once 1.5 hits, stop loss to break even on other accounts. And then 3.5 and 4, which wouldn't have hit. So that was the best setup for London. Just always hard to take when your session opens up and you're already up in premium. Like I discussed yesterday, I was looking for that move. I didn't want to do any longs until we were down here to then look for a price, for price to come back up. And then we have like London, even if Asia high was left, we'd have Asia high and London high to then target on the way back. All right, so moving along. So our expansion there in Q4. So this whole 4 hour from 2 o'clock to 6 o'clock was open low, high close. Then coming into the next H4. So going from 6 o'clock to 10 o'clock, we've got an open high, low close and a quarter 2 manipulation here, which happens after we hit the SD 2.5. So change in state delivery, we've got displacement, and then SD 1.5. Also goes into a bearish SBS here as well. So we've got our break here with the low. This is 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're looking for that sweep of 2. So for the guys that are new in here, these swing breakout sequence, this is what we're looking for at the redistribution or reaccumulation zones. So our SD 1.5 and SD 2.5. So here we can see it hits SD 1.5. We come back up, our first retracement. So this swing is 1, retracement to 2. 3 will break 1. And then we're looking for the break of 2 for 4. And then 5 is either a like a lower high or a higher high. And then we're targeting the low of 3. That becomes our 6. And lots of examples of these I've been putting into the lab channel as well if you want to go and check them out. I'll pop this one in there as well once we finish the stream. Hong Kong gap there, getting flipped. No, Tony, it's called swing breakout sequence, which is something that Stoke TA come up with. Not sure if you've heard of him. So I'm using them combined with the standard deviations for the reaccumulation or redistribution areas. At these 1.5 and 2.5 levels. All right, so we then continue down to SD4. Into quarter 3. So our short ideas from here would have been from that entry retest. Stop above the zone high. SD 1.5. TP1, 2.5, 3.5, and 4 or 4.5. Not quite getting to the 4.5 this time. Just move this back to the front. Cryptic, are you still on? Is this the one you were talking about that you weren't sure of? The SBS? So we had the break here, and then we've got another one after the Q4 manipulation. So we've gone up for the high of the day into Q4, and then we get our change in state of delivery here. So this 5-minute down close candle, that becomes our zone. And then we have our breakdown. So we get our first swing. Down to the low is 1. Second one is 2. We get 3 here. And so this then becomes the target. And same again, see Tony, we can see this happening after SD 1.5. So we get our 1, 2, 3, and then we're waiting for sweeps of 2. So there's 1 here, and then we've got additional 4 and 5 up here, which come back into this zone. From the current swing high, look at the 5-minute standard deviation pool. Bounced at 2.5 and retraced to just start its dump. Under the SMT at the swing high in the PM session. Was there SMT up here as well? Let's have a look. Oh yeah. So YM made the high here. And we got the lower high. So we had SMT here. SD 3.5, SD 2.5 from this first swing. So I'll put that other line. So yeah, so 1, 2, 3, and then we're looking for 4 and 5. And we also do an OTE from the start of the move down to 3. So we can pull that now and have a look. Drag that across to the 4. So we hit the 0.62 here for that 5th swing. So nice there. So that's where we're looking for our 4 and 5. The sweep of 2 up into OTE and then continuation down, and during macro coming into the 1500 open for a 1 hour open high, low close for the PM session. What time are we now? To 2100, 9 PM at the moment. So yeah, I would like a little bit of structure to come up here. We can watch this BISI for an inversion as well. Nice work, margin call. Killing Asia each day. Well done. So then we're looking at trades from here down to 3, or continuing down to each standard deviation 0.5 level, so 2.5, 3.5 we can see was hit. It's a bit of a rough day. Originally was looking for that accumulation, manipulation, distribution, but we've come back down, sweeping sessions basically. So Asia sessions here, sweep the high, sweep the low. I come back up, we make our London high in here. Sorry, because London closes at 5 for the kill zone, and then so we swept that, gone up to that SD 2.5. We come back, we sweep London low, and then push up. Sweep London high, and then break down from there. So one of those days that we call a session sweeping day. A lot of the time you'll see this sort of price action on a Monday. Whereas for a bullish continuation day, which we had planned for yesterday, we have that breakdown here, creates a line of liquidity, comes back to OTE, and then pushes up to PDH. All right, let's go into our higher time frame review. Did you guys have any questions for this day? For our switch charts? Yeah, nice GRCT. Didn't drop the 5 below the 3. So for this example here, so we're looking to get in around that OTE, and then we want to target 3. So I've just been using the Elliott wave counts just because it normally counts to 6, which is a bit quicker to type on. So where 6 becomes our target, and that is the break of 3. Yeah. So I put it on this one as well. So 5. So 6 is then here. And I'll do a quick diagram before we switch. So we have, for example, our London high. That gets swept. We come back down, we break the low that made the high. That's our first swing. We come back up. We then take 1. And we come back up and take 2. And this, so for 4 or 5, and it can either be a lower high or it can be a higher high. And then we're targeting the low. So 5 can either be down here or up here. The main thing we want to see is the sweep of 2 and the sweep of 1 before. And we do that OTE from 1 to 3. All right, I'm just going to get a drink of water. I'll just mute the mic for a sec and I'll be back to do the high time frame review. All right. You can see how this plays out. So let's go to NQ1. And so this was from the 1 hour. This was the plan we had for yesterday. So down into the OTE and then continuation up. I was looking for a new Q3 reversal. But we're just pretty much stuck in that tight range and then, yeah, swept each session's high and low all day. So I'm just going to wipe this chart. And then since we've got a few new people in here, we can do a fresh 1 hour chart as well. We've got 128 drawings. And I'll just turn off our quarters. Let's try and get this nice and clean. So that current 1 hour order block is what we're currently watching while we are here. So just make sure you guys have that marked out currently on your chart. All right, so we'll start on the 12 monthly. We can see we had that bullish order block from the 12 monthly we've been talking about. And we'd come back down into this order block, go into the 6 monthly, and we had the ICB in here that we were watching. So it's just ticked into that. And we had OTE of this whole swing here. And come down, just missed that 618. A nice reaction off the high time frame pity arrays there. And if we go into our monthly, this is what we were discussing last week. We wanted to look at the monthly close. And we talked about the candle being similar to this one here that we had from August. So what we're looking for there is we were looking for price to close back within the previous candle's range, which then allows for us to target the high of that candle. It's going to be quite interesting to see how this plays out. So we wanted, when we looked at this last week, this was still sitting below March's candle, and it's come back and closed within the range. So now we can mark out the top of March's candle for a possible draw over the next month. And then we need to now mark out the wick that we have in here, or our rejection block. And we want to watch 50% of that as well. It's just interesting so far. I mean, we're only 2 days in. Well, this is our second day now into the month. So we've swept the monthly high already. I would like to see a retracement back into this wick. And then we push back up. So far we have just opened high and swept the previous monthly high. So we can see here a good example as well. Price comes back into the wick. We mark out 50%. Bounces back, closes above. And we can also pop on that Sibi we have here as well to watch. This week I've been nerding crazy on how good standard deviations are. Yeah, it really helps with the puzzle. GRCT, yeah. I'm glad you're diving into it. It's great. Welcome to drop some of your studies and that into the lab room as well. It's what JD's created the lab room for. Especially when you get really clean ones. It's always fun to share the excitement. So interesting to see how the next 2 weeks plays out. If we do go into a open low, and then we get the last 2 weeks for a high close, or if this month is just going to come back up, come down a little bit and just close in around here, and then next month comes back and high close. So we've got our current monthly Sibi here for our PD array, and we've got our rejection block here for our monthly PD array. All right, let's get rid of those. Weekly. So weekly, we were talking last week about price coming back up to break the high here that made the low. Then we can get a weekly standard deviation, and same on the daily was a bit lower. So the daily high that made the low was here. So we're also watching that order block of these 3 candles here as well for a bullish flip. So if we can displace up above this, then we've got a daily standard deviation to draw. Which is huge. Which will make for an interesting few months. So yeah, keen to see how the next week or 2 plays out and paints the picture for us. So like we do on the 5-minute with the daily, this whole area will become a range. And we will grab PD arrays within this for plausible retracements later. And we would be looking for, so if we get that displacement out of the zone, we get our 1 retracement to 2, 3, 4, 5. We're not so high. And we long our longs down here, aiming for 3. And this whole section here will then become accumulation. So we have accumulation, manipulation, distribution. All Alrighty, let's go back to our current chart. What we're working on. So we've got our daily set up. $21.20. So we can see now the 2100 candle, our 9 p.m.'s currently open low, possible high close. So I don't want to participate in here. Happy to wait and see how that next H4 opens and whether we then go into an open high into our zone here, hit our fixed range volume profile POC, point of control. We've got 705, the OTE, and we get a breakdown. So if we get this leading into midnight, we can do our standard deviation from here. And then we're looking for our trades back off the zone. And I mean, this, like we could have our expansion here into just consolidation for the 4 hours. And then this happens in London and this becomes like our 3:30 move back over here. So I've got a few options for the day. And it's just a matter of waiting and being patient. And then the entries would look like, depending where that swing comes in, or even swing 3, if we're looking for that SBS, we would then do our OTE. And we look for the PD arrays within the zone, ideally an inverted bullish fair value gap and IBISI. And that becomes our entry point, which makes for a nice tight entry rather than having the whole zone. And we're looking for targets at SD 1.5, 2.5, 3.5, and 4.5. Like so. Nice feed cryptic. Are you allowed to have this on in the background? Nice and loud. Any questions here, guys? This is abnormal for Asia, these swings. Normally just be a really tight range or a bit of a grind up into London, and London would do the larger move. So we see that now this 1 hour isn't really showing the expansion now. So open, low, high, close. If we pop our HTF candles back on, let's move them over a little bit. So we can see it's open, low, back into this wick, which is now giving us a 1 hour BC as well. So our macro times there into 2100, 2110 for the low. Yeah, it's been a challenging week for the Q3s, especially when they just take off as well, Cryptic, without a retest. Which is what we had down here on Wednesday. Breakout. So normally at this area here, is what we discussed yesterday as well, we're looking for that retracement back to the zone to get long, and ideally within a macro time. So whether it be 10-10 or 10-15, or even into 11-10, 11-15 zone and then take off. Let's just put our quarters back on. So this was our quarter 3 manipulation from Wednesday. Same again, Tony, if you're still listening. So SD 1.5, we go into a reaccumulation range, expands up to SD 2.5, reaccumulation range, expands to SD 4.5. That's what we're looking at. And that's why we're taking profit at each of these zones. So ideally on different accounts. That way you can have full size on each account. And then rather than taking partials and it being smaller amounts as you get to the top. And then you can just rotate through accounts. Yeah. So we break out 1 to get our high, 3, 4, 5 was lower high in this case. And we had from this low was our OTE up to 3. So it comes back to 705, expands up. 6 is the high of 3. And then same thing. So we break out 1, 2, 3. Get our sweep of 2, 4, 5, and then 6, the high of 3. So SBS coming out of each SD level. Yeah, good stuff. All right, guys, we might leave it there. We've got our setup, we've got our plan. So if price starts to get, to keep coming up higher into this PM zone, like if we come up and flip the NYPM high for support, is what we need to be cautious of. Like we're around that OTE level now. This is the area we want for a reversal. We need to be careful price comes back up into here. And where it can become difficult is when it does similar stuff to this like we had in London. We get the Asia sweep, you get a BPR, and then it comes back into Q3, and the actual correct manipulation was the low here. So the sweep of Asia low reverses and comes up and actually flips this zone that we had as the original manipulation zone. So these are the tricky ones where we get our break of structure. We come back up, we test 50%, comes back, but then we've got an additional break of structure and it continues up. Even if we see a SBS into here, our break. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We come back up to 6 and then into that zone later. It's going to be interesting. You fell asleep before 4 a.m. last night? Yeah. And that's okay because this wasn't very good to trade. Really, the cleanest trade set up for the day was here, coming into the PM session at the end of the day, into 2 p.m. Even here, right, this is our 1400 macro, our 2 p.m. macro. Macro time, back into the zone, And then extra confluence with the SMT later. All right, so we'll end the stream there. And then, yeah, as this plays out, and if I see a clean setup come into this H4 or into London, I'll post it in the chat. No worries, Tony. Thanks for tuning in. And as always, appreciate the questions. The more you guys chat and ask questions, the more enjoyable these streams are. Thanks, guys.